established the origin of the written Spanish language around the 11th, 12th century.
Okay, wow.
The place where the people were writing, that was with the church.
Okay.
The monks were the only ones that know how to write and read, and they were writing the documents before the printer.
Okay. What is up, y'all, and welcome to this very special episode of Cultura Shock, where we're actually challenging some of, the misconceptions about our cultura. Here on the show today, we have the amazing Doctora Rebeca Acevedo, PhD, Professor of Spanish Linguistics and Spanish Coordinator at LMU here in SoCal.
Hello.
First of all, can we just give a amen to Latina in academia? Because, oh my God, tenemos a una presente. And I want to say this is important because when I went to college, I had never met a Latino with a PhD. Now, Doctora, I want to share a quick anecdote. I grew up, my first language is Spanish, right? Pero cuando entré a la high school, my mom was like, tienes que entrar a todos los APs, right? The advanced classes. Sure, okay, whatever, mom. Y me dijo, oh, AP Spanish. I'm like, espérate, nunca he tomado una clase en español y me vas a meter. She's like, but you speak it. So ahí voy el primer día de clases, right? And la maestra is like, escriban una oración de no sé qué cosa. I hear oración. What does oración mean? It has like two meanings.
Claro.
Okay, oración is like Ave María en el cielo, el Padre Nuestro, right? Like a prayer. Y oración also means
a sentence.
A sentence. Pero es lo que pasa. Y algo que me fascinó es que they taught us what the origins of the Spanish language are, right? So what are those Spanish? It's actually like a compilation of different languages, right?
Yes.
Explain to us that history.
Okay, so the history of Spanish is pretty long. But in general, when the people start feeling identified with their own language, they want to understand where are the origins, they need to work with manuscripts, with documents, because at that time we don't have recordings and people were not alive, so they need to start working with documents and identifying the documents the differences between Latin and Spanish. So we established the origin of the written Spanish language around the 11th, 12th century.
Okay, wow.
The place where the people were writing, that was with the church.
Okay.
The monks were the only ones that know how to write and read, and they were writing the documents before the printer.
Okay.
So that's the origin in Spain, but I think that is very important for us as Latinos to identify with the origin of the language here in the United States. And we have a long history of the language, and it's very important to know it. It's not a foreign language, and many Latinos were here even before the Anglo speakers were in the territory.
They tend to say the border crossed us, we didn't cross the border, right?
Exactly.
Since we're on the topic of the first manuscripts in Spanish being found in Spain, the difference between Hispanic and being Latino, what are those two differences?
Because the meanings could be different from the place that you use the word. European sense, the Latino has to be connected again with the Latin origin. So Latino is any culture that is related directly with Latin.
With the Latin language.
The Latin language.
So to that extent, if we're talking about Romance languages, we got Portuguese, right? We got Italian. So Italians to that degree would be considered Latins.
Yes.
Latinos.
Latinos.
Okay.
Yeah. Rumanos.
That's the European perspective on the word Latino.
Yep.
Okay, now
and then
Latinos' perspective on the word Latinos.
And then in Latino America, they might be more familiar with the meaning of the use of Latino here in the States. And Latino will be the people living in the United States, you can speak or not Spanish, but you have your culture connected with those groups.
The way I remembered, you try to create little devices to remember things, right? So Hispanic has the word Spanish in it, so it's related to, the origins of Spanish, which we think of Spain, right? So that's how I feel like I related to that word. Yes. And Latinos, well, Latino America, right? But maybe you're right, to an extent, Latino has been kind of politicized here in America to kind of create the separation of like Mexico and everything south of it, right?
Yes.
As like those are the Latino Americans.
Yeah, and I think it's important to consider also not only one language, but Latino could include many indigenous language that
that's
are
important.
also connected in the culture.
So even if you don't know Spanish, feel free to learn it any and every which way you can. The language is not set, it's changing every day, right? Y chicos, todo suena más romántico en español, so aprendan.